We're live, supposedly. Good evening, Franklin Township. Welcome to the December 23rd, 22nd edition of the Franklin Reporter and Advocate. Start that speech impediment. News Hour. I am Bill Bowman, the co-publisher and editor of the Franklin Reporter, and next to me is
PJ Parker, the advertising director as well as co-publisher. Here, actually in the actual office for a change.
Yes, and we're happy you're joining us either live or on the recording on Facebook and on our YouTube channel, because we have a really, I say this every time, but this is actually really appropriate. This is a very interesting and important show that we're doing. This evening, we are going to be talking about threats made against our public schools online. They got a lot of attention over the past week or so. If you recall, we had a little spillover from a threat that was made to New Brunswick High School, where parents showed up in a queue and tried to get their kids out. Apparently, the same thing happened in Franklin. And we had a middle schooler charged with causing a public, I forgot the phrase that they used. Captain Hebon, one of our guests, will remember. I think it's causing a public disturbance for making a threat against Hamilton Street campus of the middle school. So, and as you've probably read in the other media, there's a spate of TikTok, the social media site TikTok challenges going out to kids, having them do strange things in schools, including make threats. So, very appropriate that we talk about this now, and there's also some breaking news that we have for you tonight concerning Franklin Township and that topic. But first, we want to thank our sponsors.
Yes, and our first sponsor tonight is Venus Jewelers, who is the destination 5-generation jewelers in Franklin Township on 1024 Easton Avenue. That is right in the Stop and Shop shopping plaza. Their phone is 732-247-4454. And they are open today for one more hour till 8 o'clock, tomorrow from 10 to 8, and Friday, Christmas Eve from 10 to 5 for all of your last-minute jewelry and watch items for holiday gifting. They are always operating to your best service with a smile. Again, 5th-generation organization, always free gift wrapping, and always the best advice and customer service. That's venusjewelers.com. as well as their Facebook page. The Stavridis family and their extended family are wishing you a joyous holiday season and invite you to come in for that last-minute, really special gift.
And we also want to thank our sponsor, the Nick and Robin White DeMeglio of the DeMeglio Home Team at Berkshire Hathaway Fox and Roach Realtors. They're realtors with a heart. They treat every client like their only client and offer residential and commercial real estate services. You can reach Nick. I'm going to have to take my glasses off on this one at 732-828-9403 or nicholas.com at att.net. That's nicolas.com at att.net. Can't promise you they're going to gift wrap your house if you buy one, but maybe they'll leave a bow on the dining room table. So thank you to both of our sponsors. And excuse me just one second. This is live, folks, not recorded on tape.
Yes, no puppies tonight, just a little mishaps.
Yeah. All right, so let's bring on our panel. We're pleased to have tonight Nancy LaCourte, who is the president of the Board of Education in town. We have from Franklin Township Police Department, Captain Sean Hebon, and also from the district we have Orville Wilson, who is the director of
Safety.
School management and student advocacy.
And student advocacy, yes, right. Thank you, guys. Thank you, folks, all for coming on. We appreciate taking the time to join us today. Let's start with the breaking news because it's directly related to what we're going to be talking about tonight. The governor's office put out a press release just about an hour or so ago saying that the governor has and the acting commissioner of education have submitted to the state legislature the second round of Securing Our Children's Future Bond Act school security project recommendations. And there's a number of schools throughout the state who are included in this, and Franklin Township is one of them. And in fact, Franklin Township's application is the largest in the state at
382.
300. I gotta get contact lenses. $382,000 and change. And these this, well, you know what? Let's let Orville. I assume you know about this, right?
Yes.
Okay. Let's let you talk about that and tell us what that money is. If the legislature approves it, which it probably will, what that money will be going to.
So obviously that money will be going to safety projects. Some of it is slated to do some of the facility projects that are such as doing the secure vestibules, finishing the three remaining school vestibules, adding additional or upgrades to some of our additional schools, surveillance systems. It will go to other safety features as well.
Okay. Now, is that work going to be done even if by some strange happening the legislature doesn't approve it?
So our plan is to, if the legislature approves it, means we can get that work done faster.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. Okay. And while we're on the topic, can you just go over, I know for the past, I guess, a couple of years now, right? The district has undertaken a pretty strong safety regimen in terms of the man traps and the panic buttons and stuff like that. Can you just kind of run down what the district has done in the schools to increase safety?
So, I mean, thank you for that question. But I want to say that, our district takes safety and security very seriously. And so when you look at some of the things that we are doing, you get to see that. Hopefully we'll talk about some of those things tonight. But some of the things that we have done include our secure vestibules, our upgraded camera systems. We have a communication system that's two-tiered. The first tier is through our shared 911 system that allows our administrators and teachers to communicate and account for students during and throughout any type of crisis or drill. That system also communicates and alerts district staff as well as police. The second tier of that has to do with radio communications that span the entire district, so that that radio transmissions can be received at any point from any location, from any school throughout the district to any other point throughout the district. That also includes direct communication that's monitored by dispatch at Franklin Township Police. And, so incorporates that kind of a quick response. There are also panic buttons that are strategically placed throughout the buildings. It includes some of the subtle kinds of things like making sure that we have unobstructed and areas around our schools, so that there's no place like to hide there, a person. So we have clear views of all of our facilities, exterior, the exterior of our facilities, and we can monitor that very closely. Those are just some of the things. It also, we've had a police officer in every one of our 10 school facilities during the hours when schools are in session. Police officer with a car that is clearly identifiable as a police car parked in the front. our access our access to all of our facilities is restricted. Staff can enter the buildings through, keyless entry points that they can, where they utilize a key card to get in. All other visitors to the schools have to enter in through that main portal, the front door, and that is very closely monitored by both our security as well as our police officers.
Okay.
So
Now,
very quickly, that's kind of a thumbnail of some of the things that we've provided.
Right. Now it seems like.
Yeah, I had a couple of questions, just going back to some of the things you said were already in place, Oral. Cameras. Cameras have been a privacy issue as far as the bathrooms are concerned. Yet that is a perfect place for activity that can be hidden precisely because of the privacy restrictions. Is that being addressed? Can it be addressed?
Yes. So we can't put cameras in the bathrooms, but what we are doing, and we've done at the high school, at Franklin High School, we placed, and they're just now being activated, sensors that detect a variety of things. Like, for example, they detect smoke, they detect vape, they detect loud noises, and changes in light and heat. And those detection units send a signal to the administrator to alert them about whatever might be going on in that particular location. In addition to that, there are cameras that are stationed that capture the outside views of of our lavatories, so that, for example, if an alarm were to go off in a lavatory and the students kind of exited before the administrator was able to get there, they're synced with our camera so that we could, pinpoint who was in that location.
Mm-hmm.
Students.
But any activity that might be going on inside those basically sacred spaces is virtually undetectable. Has anybody considered actually having bathroom monitors, like people?
Not undetectable, because they are. So, for example, if students were in there and there was a loud commotion, like, say, for example, I don't know, a physical altercation, the signal would go out to the administrator.
Mm-hmm.
So that's
okay. Yeah,
so
I'm not trying to pick on just the restrooms,
but they get that signal.
Mm-hmm. But I know in the high school. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
If a student were vaping, were smoking tobacco products, those kinds of things would set off the signal.
So the sensors are in the bathrooms?
Yes.
Okay.
All right. Do the students know that?
Yeah, they do now.
I believe that they know.
Mm-hmm. Awareness can be a deterrent. Is there any plan to put a teacher, a student aide, or someone physically inside any of these bathrooms? Has that been at all considered?
We have not considered that. We do have people who monitor outside of the lavatories. Mm-hmm. In fact, at the high school, I was there today, and students, there's a person there. They have to sign in. The person unlocks the lavatory. Student goes in. Mm-hmm. That is during the regular, passing time. Mm-hmm. Now there are some exceptions to that. Like, for example, during the lunches, where the restrooms are located in the cafeteria as well as in the events lobby and those locations. At that time, those lavatories are left open so that students can have access to them. We have large number of students who are eating lunch at that time, so it's an appropriate thing to do.
Sure. And even prior to entering the building, are there any metal detection units or metal detection
That's what I was
processes
going to ask.
Now,
that will occur prior to the student or anyone actually entering the building.
so there are not metal detection units in any of our facilities.
So that was actually, that's what I was going to ask. I mean, it looks like you've got it pretty well covered
Inside.
from people, from outsiders trying to get in who might want to do something to students or teachers or whatever. But you know, that last shooting, that last school shooting happened with a kid who actually had a gun in his backpack. You know, while he was in the I guess the guidance counselor's office or the principal's office with his parents, who were discussing his mental issues, and he had a gun in his backpack. How do you
how did he get in?
Well, that's for that school district. How do you in Franklin?
Yeah,
how do we
that
get
school district, right?
Yeah,
but it presents a credible problem.
How do you guard against that in Franklin? How do you guard against kids bringing weapons into the schools?
So there are lots of I think first off, we do a number of different things. First, we build relationships with students, and I think that is key. I want to say that's critical because typically nothing happens if a person is going to do something. There are some signs that they're going to do it. Typically, they tell someone. In our district, we have a relationship where students feel comfortable if they see something, saying something to someone who could do something about it. So that is, I think, having that kind of trust, that the students are able to have that kind of trust in the individuals and the staff in their building, I think is very critical and very key in addressing some of these things, because metal detectors haven't been proven to be the answer, because we're in a public place that's used by a lot of different agencies and facilities, all hours, from the start of school until into the evening, by rec programs, Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts. And if someone wanted to put something, bring something into the school, and they were deliberately intent on trying to do that, it is possible that they could do that anywhere. Our key is, A, to build that trust with our students. Second, to be able to respond to any type of an emergency in seconds. And I think that we're pretty much prepared to do that.
Well, again, not to be devil's advocate, but that's after the fact. You cannot go into the Somerset County Courthouse building without emptying whatever it is you are carrying onto a conveyor belt. And that goes through an x-ray screening, as well as your person walking through that turnstile, so to speak. And if there's anything that beeps, you're going to be questioned. That's preventive. I don't doubt, and I've experienced the largesse and the community of all of the Franklin schools, but we all know it just takes one child who, for whatever reason, is not fitting in, and for whatever reason is going to create mayhem that day. I do feel that it would be prudent to be before the fact rather than after the fact reacting. We're really putting you on the spot. A lot of this should be addressed by Sean.
So, I hear what you're saying. I look at, and I really do try to look at all of these school shootings that have happened during my experience in public education, going back to, and especially Columbine, Parkland, all of those. And we do analyze all of those kinds of situations. I think we've learned some very valuable lessons from them. And while I know, that some places are looking at and investigating metal detectors, we have not done that because I believe that, it is just hard to implement that in a place like, for example, you look at Franklin High School with 28, 29 exit doors. It is just almost impossible to monitor all of those exit doors with metal detectors and people to man them all of the time that students or people are in those buildings. Unlike the courthouse, where you have just that primary exit where people are going in and out, we're not that way. But I just want to say that, I'm sure that discussion about metal detectors will probably continue. So this may not be the last word on that, but I just have to, that's our take at this point.
Yeah.
Well, I know the COVID response was that there were temperature screenings, that you could not walk in beyond the lobby, the anti-lobby, into the actual school without having passed a temperature sensor.
Yeah, there is a big difference, if I may step in. With the comparison you just gave with the with the COVID screenings and stuff like that, it is a very different procedure as far as a protocol versus a metal detector, for instance. Like metal detectors, if someone is bent on entering a school to wreak havoc on students and they know it's a metal detector there, the easiest answer is going through a different door. It's metal detectors are not a perfect science. If the problems that are rising today were as widespread and impactful today as they were when we built all of these schools and designed all of these buildings and things of that nature, then the focus and the structure would probably have been a lot different. We're trying to fit today's problems into buildings that were created some time ago, or with a different type of philosophy or different type of security concerns on the table at that time. So even if we had the grandest metal detector at the most perfect entrance, there's still dozens of other areas that we have to be concerned about that are just as vulnerable.
So how do you address that?
Well, I mean, really you have to look at what we have now and come up with strategic planning. We have full buildings going on that are fully stocked with teachers that are being trained, security personnel. We have police officers in every school. We have students that are very aware and are concerned for their own safety, and really building that community and the awareness of what's going on. In a lot of cases can defeat the benefits of one nice, pretty expensive metal detector. If the school leadership and law enforcement are in sync and we're able to strategize and have plans in place, then that structure and that funneling of people coming in and how we address things that look out of the norm become very very systematic, and that systematic approach will help things that are out of the norm reveal itself. We have school resource officers at our middle schools and our high schools. We have class 3 security officers at every school in the township who are trained, and this is what they do. So if things are at the beginning of a school day are not going according to the daily approaches of what's happening, they'll identify that and address it. But the random weapon in a backpack, they may not catch it at the front door, but the chances that that's going to come into the front door of a school that has metal detectors is usually not going to be something that's that happens. I mean, look, in courts they have that there, but there's one entrance in, and everything else is secured. Also, it's more effective in that environment, and really, as I said, the average, how many weapons are they really getting through at that particular place? People know that they're there, so the likelihood of them trying it with sheriff's offices and things, all also armed, really, is the deterrent. It's even probably greater than the metal detectors themselves.
Yeah, let's since Captain, since you came in on us, let's give Orville a little chance to catch his breath. For the folks who don't know, can you tell us the difference between the school resource officers and the Class 3 specials?
Yes, the school resource officers, and this is always back and forth whether we should have police officers in schools or not. The school resource officers are liaisons to the police department and the schools. Their purpose is really not for law enforcement action within the schools. They're supposed to be part of the school environment. They're there to be a resource to the students and the teachers. They're there to to serve multiple functions beyond just law enforcement. In fact, our school resource officers don't even wear a daily uniform. They may have a polo shirt on, or something that indicates that they're a law enforcement officer, and they have a place or an office within the schools that they're in. But a lot of them are go into the classrooms and do things with some of the teachers. Some of them are involved in a lot of the after school events, and they become really just part of the school environment, and they become a true resource to the students that are there on a daily basis. They run law enforcement clubs after school. They get to know the students. They have a real personal connection, and I think it's great for the students to have them there because of especially today with the culture and environment that we're in. Having a law enforcement officer there that and that you could communicate with on a daily basis. If you have a concern at home, or you have a concern or safety concern at school, or bullying, or something that you don't want to necessarily address at a police department, you have a place that you could go where that officer can talk to you and help you in a law enforcement capacity, or they could just help students. We have a lot of students that want to be law enforcement officers, and they connect with those school resource officers, and that's a great platform for both of them, the officer and the student, to communicate, build a relationship. And in fact, some of our officers that we've had in town have had connections with the school resource officers of their day. It's a nice culture to have that there, because when you think of Franklin Township and the community of Franklin Township, you do have your residents, you do have your schools, you do have your law enforcement officers. All of those things are in the school environment. So why not have them all accessible to the students whenever they need them? As for the Class 3 officers, they're there for security purposes. If there's an intruder in the building, someone's coming in to do harm in that building, that Class 3 officer is there for that purpose. They're not there to look for issues with arrests of students, or if a student has an issue, or some kind of an issue in school. They're not there for the purposes of policing the students. They're there for the safety of the students from outside intrusion, from people bringing weapons in school. But they're also there to complement the school security environment. The school security officers that are there, the schools have security guards at all of their facilities, and they're working in tandem. Our Class 3s are working in tandem with those security officials just to make sure everyone's on the same page. But they're there, they're armed, they know how to do the job. They're all experienced police officers. They're all our Class 3 officers are comprised of mainly retired officers who are coming back to serve their job. So you're talking, your most experienced officers that really have, decades of police experience on the job there that want to continue to serve, and they know how to serve well, and they serve and they make great relationships with the students and the security to form that holistic connection to protect the schools every day.
Are the SROs armed as well?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how about defining what SRO is for the general
School
public?
resource officer.
Mm-hmm.
So the only security personnel in the schools who aren't armed are the security guards, right?
Correct. But with them working in tandem with the armed officers, you create that environment. They're in constant radio communication with each other. They know the areas of the school. They know the safety protocols. Plans are in place. And at the end of the day, we won't tell all the tactics that we use to make everything all come together, because we have students that are watching, and we don't want everything that we do to be put out there. We like to at least have some level of anonymity with some of the things that we're discussing. However, there is a good cohesive relationship and training that takes place to make sure that building and all of the buildings can be protected.
Okay. So on average during the course of a month, how often you guys get called for something at the high school?
It's really hard to say. The majority of things that may take place at the high school or at the middle school or wherever are things that our school resource officers, that are assigned to that school, can handle on a in-school basis. Major incidents that will require police to go in is very rare. By having that school resource officer and things in place, they know, and can get ahead of most issues that are going to happen. And most of those things can happen in the school. Not saying that nothing's ever going to happen. We have very big schools, and we have a lot going on in town. So yeah, we have the right people that are assigned to the schools that can kind of jump ahead of those situations, deal with them, and they can handle most things within a school environment.
Okay. And can you give us an estimation of how many weapons you guys have confiscated this year from students?
You mean as far as like during incidents? Like
just kids found with a weapon, with a knife, or God forbid, a gun.
Oh, I don't know if I'll have a number to give you.
Okay.
Yeah.
But it happens.
Yeah. To be honest, most of the incidents that we'll have like that would be someone has they find something in a backpack or something that may pop up. And to be honest, most of those incidents come from a student that may have had a box cutter or something like that they might have from work or something like that, and they're not supposed to have it, but something else may happen, and then now the box cutter reveals itself through, I don't know, another student sees it, makes an issue of it, makes a complaint to someone else, and now we have to deal with it in that incident. But that's pretty much the extent of it. We don't have issues with guns and taking things of that, like that away, because anything of that magnitude, everyone's gonna know about it. It's not a we don't have those kind of issues going on. It's really just simple little day-to-day things, a Swiss Army knife or something like that gets taken away.
But that's still a knife that could still do some damage.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? All right. Okay.
I have a comment question.
I think Orville has something.
Orville has something.
Yeah, I just wanted to comment about that issue about student safety with regard to bringing stuff in. We have some things that are in place that our students do know about that I can share with you. Mm-hmm. For example, if a student is on our district equipment, laptop, computer, and they are researching sites like gun sites, or they're putting in words like murder, kill, suicide, anything that promotes self-harm, that sets off an alarm, and that student is given resources to help them. So we have a mechanism in place to identify students across the district in that way. Our teachers receive training so that if a student is drawing something that may be alarming or cause some angst, then they have an avenue to address that, and those students get help and support. And it may be that, sometimes a student may say, oh, I was joking or whatever, but they still have to go through those assessment techniques so that we can know that that student is okay to be in our schools. So, and that means referrals out to, psychiatric emergency screening services, or Rutgers Behavioral Health, or other agencies, to make sure that that student is okay to return to our school. So it isn't like, and I think about that latest situation in Oxford, Michigan. Maybe there were some signs there, and it caused guidance counselor to do some things, but in our district, and I can't speak for, that school district, but in our district, that parent wouldn't have had an opportunity to say, nah, let him stay in school. They would have had to do some things immediately. So those are the kinds of things like those systems are in place, so that if we felt that a student might have some type of social emotional issue, we're going to provide them with services. So, we have a lot of things that are in place to help make sure that the students who are entering our facilities are not, intent and don't stay if we have any reason to suspect that they might cause any harm or danger to anyone.
Again, yes, and I agree and I applaud. My concern is that this is all after the fact or during the school day.
That is not after the fact. If a student is researching a site, that is preventative.
You mean even if they're researching a particular site outside of the school premises?
If a student is writing something in a journal, in a report, or gives any indication that they might have any kind of tendencies to either harm themselves or to harm others, that student's getting services.
Okay, and that's wonderful. That's an avenue that I don't know that a lot of schools have adopted. My concern still is yes, that's why we hold forums like this, so that we can spread the word that we are on top of it as a community. Again, my concern is on the preventive side of it, that, okay, so we know metal detectors are expensive and there are several entrances and exits within every school system. What about, and maybe this is already in place, what about a parent or a volunteer who is charged with inspecting backpacks and handbags and briefcases before a student enters the building?
Listen, this discussion probably is not over. I'm sure it isn't, but you've asked for where we stand on it, and I've given you that answer. So that will probably be a continuing discussion. But at this point, this is where we are.
Yeah.
So I want to just add that.
Let's bring Nancy in. Thanks, Orville.
What? I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Nancy.
I just want to add that we have a lot of mentoring programs in place. So that is before the fact. It's getting a lot of at-risk kids and providing those services. Prior to COVID, we had just signed a contract for more help with Rutgers Behavioral Health. So we've increased that. As was said, we have our SACs, our SROs. We have a lot of support, and we work well with the police department. And so we have a lot of support to prevent something from happening, I think. And the board went out 3 years ago, right after Parkland, and we did a school security check, right? So we hired an independent company to come in and look at everything and tell us where our weaknesses were, and what our strengths were, so we could improve upon them. And we've been going through that list and addressing a lot of the issues that were on there. Some things were simple things to do. Other things we had to put a little bit more money or a little training behind, but we've managed to get them done. And as we're getting them done, they're getting crossed off the list. So.
How big is the list?
Huh?
How big is the list?
I don't know. I off the top of my head, I don't know. I could get you the answer, but Orville, you might have that, right? Or I'm sure it's on our website.
It's not on our website, Nancy, because a lot of the stuff in there is very confidential.
You're right.
So
Sorry.
we don't share that with the public. But we do. There are, I'm thinking like about 82 different indicators, and that the Department of Ed requires in a safety plan, and schools meet those 82, or maybe, don't quote me, it may be a little more than 82, but that's the number that's in my head right now. But and schools meet those 82 indicators in varying degrees. So we visit that ourselves and try to make sure that we're doing, meeting those indicators to the best of our ability.
Yeah, I mean, okay.
I wanted to go back to what you said about the COVID testing, though. When we were doing that screening, we didn't have the population of students that we now have. We had half the population or less than. So, it was a lot easier to get that many people through the building.
Yeah. And with the COVID safety protocols, you have people that are more, there's no reason for anyone to want to circumvent the the COVID protocols, versus a firearm. I mean, people just want to go in. It's really just like it's more of a nuisance to stand online for folks more than them wanting to have an issue with entering the building. Very different from the weapon issue, where it's is really more incentivized not to go through. But at the end of the day, the police department, the schools, I don't think any of us are unaware of everything that's happening out at these schools, and it's the key to it is proper planning. But, we meet, we discuss, we plan, and we train. No, we won't broadcast a lot of the tactics that we have going on, because it just wouldn't make sense for us to do that. It'll defeat the purpose of what we're trying to do, to protect the students, by really putting the news out there of our approaches and strategies and everything that we're doing. However, I don't think there's a police department in this area that's not going to look at what's happening and say, that won't be us. Let's not put a plan in place. We really have to, take our plan. And, the biggest thing is making sure that we stay in constant communication with each other. The schools and our officers that are there at those schools, they spend a lot of time together. The officers also spend a lot of time with the students that are there, as well as the teachers, guidance counselors. There is a whole school environment there that's that also understands the times we're in and the problems that we're in, and being able to look and see students that look out of sorts, and see students that are not their normal selves, or see or hear of different beefs or disagreements that are going on. And that sets red flags out that that the public is not going to be aware of, but us in those environments are going to be aware, and we're going to be planning and watching certain things, because of the fact that we know those things can take on a life of its own. None of us are really new to this, and when you kind of add on the times that we're in and the heightened sense of awareness, we are we address a lot of those things behind the scene. But now add to that the the rampant, addition of social media and TikTok challenges and all of those things that go into effect, parents might hear things that, and everybody gets kind of flustered in because it's coming so fast and it's, all these different things happening. It just seems like a whole lot, but it's nothing that we haven't already been dealing with for quite some time. It's just the explosion of social media makes it into, like a new phenomenon every day for the public viewing. But we've been dealing with a lot of this stuff. Like how long ago was Columbine and these these school shootings? These things were police department plans since then, and as new things surface, as each of these incidents occur, it's up to us to hear what the scenario is and pick it apart and strategize if it's something that we see that's new or different that we need to adjust or be prepared for.
I'm glad you brought up the social media aspect, because this is added, not that it's a new aspect, but the peer pressure now is extraordinary with these kids. And so many of them are needing to fit in and adhere to these dictates that this started, I believe it started in September, to destroy your school bathrooms. And then there's another one each month. There was a different mandate for kids to do. This adds a whole different dimension. And I'm wondering if within the system, the school system itself, that there are peer pressure discussions. That maybe, Nancy, that's your...
Yeah.
Or whomever.
We have Teen Pep,
Mm-hmm.
which it's peer-to-peer. So it's teenagers talking to other teenagers about a ton of different things. It could be social media pressure. It could be pressure on a date. It could be pressure to do like drugs or something. But they're talking about all of these issues with other, with the other kids. There's a lot of school support, and like we were saying, with the SROs, with the SACs, with the guidance department, with teachers. Some kids really connect with. It might be the only adult that they're connecting with, but it might be that teacher that they feel comfortable going to and talking to. And it comes down to, in the school district, comes down to relationships. It's really important.
Absolutely.
So kids feel comfortable, staff feels comfortable, parents feel comfortable, but we all have to work together. So the thing that would really help the district probably the most and help the police department the most is if parents paid attention to TikTok, to Facebook, whatever other social media, it was the destroy the school bathroom. It was eating Tide Pods. It's been like stupid, dangerous things, right?
Exactly.
But parents need to pay attention to that, because they have their own devices at home, right? The kids are getting on their devices, but pay attention to what your kid's watching.
Yeah. And to piggyback on that, as new apps like, TikTok and things come, they become the new hot thing, and the technology allows more and more and more. Again, we've been dealing with this stuff for a very long time with social media. We had the Snapchat before that, Facebook before that. Things just constantly are gonna evolve. But the biggest thing that parents have to understand is that our children are not in a lot of cases going and buying these devices on their own, and they're not living on their own, and they're not independent. Parents have the right to take these devices away and keep them out of your child. If your child cannot handle the responsibility, then don't give them the method to do it. You can take it away. They'll be fine in school without a phone. They could survive. Yeah. They'll be okay. I did it for years. I didn't need a phone. I went through my entire schooling without a phone, and I know to a young person that's the end of the world for them to not have that phone for 10 minutes. However, parents have to kind of really get to that point of saying, look, this is the rules. This is this is the box that this social media stuff is going to have to stay in. And if it leaves that, things are going to get taken away because, look, there are consequences that get very severe for these students should this thing take a life of its own. And it could be on a law enforcement side, or it can be on just a social side, with the sending of pictures and and all those things that just that are going to be part of these young folks' lives for decades in the future. They really have to really get a hold of understanding the responsibility and the consequences, because the consequences are probably the biggest factor. And they really have to get it's on the parents to control that environment. The schools can only do so much.
One of the things we do also is try to share information with the entire community. We've done a number of virtual workshops where we've taken questions from the community on a specific topic. Just this week or last week, we did a workshop on harassment, intimidation, and bullying, because we wanted to share that information with our community so that parents understood what it is, how we respond to it, what's the difference between harassment, intimidation, and bullying, and how that interacts with conflict, general conflict that may occur between students, and any other form of discipline. But, I think we try to, as a district, we try to share what the concerns are, what the trends in behavior are, and help have parents and give them advice and or take questions from them on how we can make the culture and climate better. I think that is a very key piece in all of what we do as well.
Yeah, and with social media, I think the latest social media trends all tend to flow towards the negative side. Let's be destructive in this way, or let's be harmful in this way. And I think it's really kind of time, even as a society, but in our environment here in Franklin, that we work on trying to find ways to incentivize people that pushing the positive side of some of these challenges and things of that nature. Like, I know the whole thought process in developing some of the programs in the Community Relations Bureau of the police department was about really taking kids that are, that we want to help boost. Like we have a basketball program that's doing great. It's great to have the kids that are great at ball already. I like the ones that are the last to get picked in at gym class, and that are feeling, not so confident in themselves. Let's come out and help build their skills up so that they feel a sense of confidence. Same thing with our Franklin Fit program. Take those kids who, and help them build their bodies, help them feel better about themselves, and let's create some interesting ways for them to set challenges and do things throughout the township that are going to highlight the positive versus just, who could do the most terrible thing. And I think we need to really all jump on board with doing those things and celebrate those students that are in the township that are doing good things. There's a lot of them. We have a lot of positive students that are doing great things. And if we could help them, and maybe some of the ones that are focusing on this negative could see, how celebrated the ones that are doing positive things are, and embraced by it, maybe, it'll maybe helps push a trend in the other direction,
right.
Everything at it.
Orville, I just want to ask Orville a quick question. We're talking about social media. We're talking about social media a lot.
Yep.
Is there? I was led to understand years ago that there was a blockage or some kind of a monitor within the district's Wi-Fi system that prevents kids from going on things like Facebook and Twitter and TikTok. Is that accurate?
That is.
Yes.
Okay, so
try to turn your phone on.
Yeah, so the kids can't go on the Wi-Fi, but they can go cellular, right? Because that's what I have to do when I'm covering a basketball game and I need to tweet out a game score. I just go cellular and I bypass the Wi-Fi. So, I mean, how do you deal with that? So kids can still be in school and go on Twitter and TikTok and do their stupid little dances. And what do you do about that?
they can, and short of collecting cell phones at the door, which is something we wouldn't want to do anyway. It is that poses a challenge, and it's one of the things that we have to partner with our community, with our parents, to have them help monitor those kinds of things.
Okay. Nancy, did you want to say something?
Yeah, to Sean's point about promoting the positive, all of the kids in our schools now have gone through positive behavior intervention support, which is something the district started, I don't know, about 15 years ago, right, Orville? Maybe a little bit less. But all these kids have gone through it. And it's really rewarding the positive. So like you're seeing your peers getting a special privilege because they did the right thing. And you're not getting that because you're doing the wrong thing, making the wrong decisions. But then working with those kids that are making the wrong decisions, because there's programs for those kids to help them make the right decisions. And then when they start to make good decisions, rewarding them for that. Like, I mean, it could just be like, you did a great job, like kids just need to hear that. But there's also, going back to social media, there are programs that parents can put on their phones so they can monitor what their kids are doing. They can prevent their kids from going to certain sites that they don't need to go to. And it's, I believe they're all free, but you can put all that stuff on your phone because you're paying that bill. Yeah. So technically, as a parent or a guardian, you own that phone. Right. So, or while it's in your house or that child's under your care, that's your phone.
Yeah.
So,
absolutely.
I mean, it's important.
And they use their friend's phone.
No. There's always a way to get around something.
There's always going to be a way around. I mean, as fast as we've come up with something, the technology makes it, a little harder for us to keep up sometimes with the constant changes. Back in my day growing up, as fast as one rule came, those who wanted to circumvent found a way around the rule. But social media makes it a little quicker and come a lot more fast and furious. But look, our kids are creative. And they're, and they're very tech savvy, and they know how to make things happen. However, I think as a community, we can stay ahead of the game and really be firm in our approach. Even some training for the parents. I know Officer Flanders does a lot of trainings for parents and on social media and different sites to monitor and track what your students are doing, and she's available to do those things as well. It's good information out there. A lot of parents just kind of feel defeated sometimes with what they're able to do because it kind of goes over their heads at a certain point. And I'm constantly helping my parents with tech support because it's a whole generational thing where it just changes and
it gets to a point. Yeah,
and it's a lot of parents just throw their hands up of it. But if you sit down with someone that's in the know, that's going to help you find ways to kind of stay with it, or at least, you can't stay ahead of it, at least let you be able to stop in from time to time and check things out. Don't give up. I tell parents, don't give up, stay with it, because when you give up is when you lose the ability to control what the situation is. And sometimes these young folks, it's going too fast for them, and they're getting sent down a road that's going to be detrimental to their future. So parents can't give up. If you don't know help is out there, you just have to seek it out and say, look, I need help to try to figure out what my kid's doing. And if you need to slow it down, you take the phone away until you can. They'll be mad at you, and it's okay for them to be upset. They don't have to be your friend. They could be mad at you for a minute. The bigger picture is at the end, they're safe, and that no one else is being harmed,
others are safe,
and things are going to be all right.
Speaking of kids and technology, I always tell the story of I think it was like around 85, 86. I got the company I worked for, the weekly newspaper company that I was a reporter for, sent me to South Plainfield, and my first days there were very shortly after a couple of South Plainfield high school kids got busted by the feds because they managed to hack into the DoD computer system and move some defense satellites around. And they were found out, and they were traced, and they got arrested. And I remember the very first, Nancy, you'll appreciate this, the very first school board meeting I went to. After the meeting, I went up to the guy. I think the guy's name was Lepore. He was a school superintendent at the time. And I said, just to introduce myself and just to do a chit chat with him, I said, so I guess I hear you guys had some excitement here last week. And this guy looked at me. He did not skip a beat. He looked at me straight in the eye, and he said, you know, Bill, I hope every South Plainfield student has the opportunity to take advantage of the education that we offer, like those two young men did.
Wow, that was a turnaround.
But anyway, that's the kids dealing with technology.
Well, on that note, Bill, we hope that kids take advantage of all the wonderful programs that we offer. We also hope that kids pay attention to things that are illegal.
Oh yeah, ethics is a good.
Right, exactly.
So Nancy,
the higher good being the reward.
I wanted to bring this up because health is included in safety in the schools, and you know, the big health issue obviously now for the past 2 years has been COVID. 5 sports teams in a high school are sidelined now because of COVID issues. The number of students and teachers and staff and vendors, I guess, who have reported COVID positive tests is now 188, I believe, in the schools, up 32 from last week, and I understand it probably is going to get higher tomorrow. How are you guys dealing with this?
And after this weekend.
And after the holidays?
Well, we take it one day at a time, right? And we have it set up where we can we can have a classroom go remote, switch them to remote, don't necessarily have to switch an entire school. Obviously, we have to be conscious of, do we have enough staff at that time? And we ask people to exercise precautions, like don't put yourself, don't go unmasked, get vaccinated, you know, don't put yourself in crowds that are making yourself susceptible to COVID or the flu or whatever, you know. So everything is one day at a time.
Mm-hmm. Have you had to go
tracked every single day? Somebody's looking at those numbers.
Sure.
Do we have to go remote on this class, on this school, on this program? You know,
has that happened yet this year?
We've had some classes go remote.
Have you?
Yeah.
Okay. What schools?
I think it might have been Elizabeth Ave, right, Orville?
I think you're right, but I just wanted to also add that you know, our superintendent and our nurses are constantly in communication with county health office, so we're monitoring that monitoring that situation on a daily basis. And sometimes, you know, it might be in the morning and then having another discussion later in the afternoon to figure, you know, so that we can make appropriate decisions about, you know, what our next steps are. And we'll continue to do that.
Mm-hmm. How are those rapid tests working out?
Have we used?
Have they been used, the rapid tests? You know?
Yeah. Yes, they have been used, but you know, I don't have a lot of data on that myself. Okay. But I know that we have used them. Yes.
Okay. I'm sorry, Nancy. Were you going to say something?
No, I wasn't sure. You know, I mean, that's like in the weeds, so I wasn't sure if they were used. Great folks have gotten them, but to add on what Orville was saying, we're fortunate in Franklin that our health officer happens to be Dr. Reddy, who's the county health officer, and you know, and Dr. Valley and our school nurses and Dr. Schofield, they work very closely with Dr. Reddy every single day. You know, it's being monitored. So we want the number one goal of the district is the health and safety of all of our students and staff. So, I mean, it's important. We've put a lot of time, a lot of money, and and we just want people to be healthy and safe.
Okay. Anything else?
Yeah.
Nancy or any of you, is there anything that you think we have missed in this discussion?
No, but I want to like reinforce that Franklin Township Public Schools, not all school districts have this. We're large enough to have all of the programs that we have within our schools, right? And to constantly be keeping health and safety at the top of everything that we're doing. But we work and have worked so very closely with the Franklin Township Police. And that's like, it really is a community. We work so well together, and Orville, is constantly working with Sean and other people in the police department to make sure that we're doing everything that we can do. And we're fortunate that we have, so I'm going to do some bragging, but we're really lucky that we have the staff that we have that work as hard as they do. And, teachers aren't going there for the paycheck. We all know that. But they're going there because they really care about what it is that they're doing. And they really care about the staff. And a lot of times we're not covering that. We're not reporting it as a district. You're not reporting it. You don't know about it. A lot of times I don't know about it. But the things that our staff are doing outside of school, outside of the normal school day, to work with kids and to help kids and to make sure that they have the tools to stay safe and to stay healthy. So we're lucky. And like, I'm just really proud of having that opportunity to do that little humble brag there.
No, soft flex. That's great. No, we are aware of a lot of the excellent things that staff and teachers and kids in the public schools are doing. So
there's a lot of caring that is not always present within the school systems, and that it comes right from the top right on down, and we can see it, and it's evidenced by the excellence that does emanate from these schools.
And I can also say that the board, we know that at the end of a statement, whatever a vote is, or whatever it is, it's affecting a child at the end of the day.
Yes.
So it's important to the board, very, very important to the board. We're community members. A lot of us are parents. Some of us still have kids in the district. Some of us went through the district. So, it's important. So.
Yeah, I would just like to just make this again, it's kind of like a plug too. The overwhelming majority of our students do the right thing every day. The overwhelming majority of them. And even those students who make sometimes bad decisions we're not just about who broke the rule and how we're going to punish them. We really are looking at how we're going to change the culture, how we're going to support kids, all kids, and really, I heard people say they're good kids and bad kids. They're kids and they're students, and we try to help them all. Some of them need more support than others, and we try to give that to them. And I think that our district, really has paid a lot of attention to doing just that, and that building those kinds of relationships and meeting the needs of all of our students has been, I think, part of the hallmark of, some of the success stories that we have in our district.
Okay.
And
okay. Go ahead, Captain.
I just want to say, look, if parents are listening, we value the students in this town. We also value the staff and people that are in every school building here. We have some of our own personnel in these buildings. We want these buildings safe, and we work hard to make sure that those buildings stay safe. So your kids are in good hands when they leave, when they're on the buses, when they're going to and from And I think we're proud of that. But what I'd also like to tell parents is, you're home with your kids, you're hearing conversations and things of that nature throughout the day when they leave school and they're back at home in your environment. And when you hear things, if you hear something of concern, let us know. Let some official know, because if there's something that's out there, don't save it for the next parent. Don't just call another parent and get the rumor mill going. Discuss it with the police officers, in the town. Let the school, and the counselors know. There's resources everywhere that you can go to let someone know of a potential issue that you might hear, even if it's something that's not immediate. Keep us in the loop. That's how we form that nice network and environment to make sure everyone's safe. And the police department, we always say we rather get there and find nothing than come after the fact. So, be the eyes and ears and work with us in that. And we could keep things even safer. I don't think there's a time of night where I haven't talked to Orville over the years. We're always there. And technically today was a day off for me, but I'm working. That's what we do. It's really a dedicated effort and a passion to keep the town safe and the school safe. So we're here doing it, and I'm encouraging the parents to join in. And if you're not already working and communicating with us, stay in the, keep us in the loop and become part of this environment. That's how we'll get it all done.
Good. Communication is a good segue to this question I had for you, as a reporter, trying to keep people informed as to what's going on in the schools. What's the threshold of an incident where you guys will report out on this, where you guys will put out a press release or have information available? I mean, what does it have to be before it becomes something that you guys think the public needs to know about?
Well, a lot of that is going to be dictated a lot of times based on the student's age, the level of safety, and in certain environments, it's going to be what's in the best interest of the student, the public, and then some of it is dictated by the prosecutor's office, depending on what level it is. So there is really no hard and fast rule to it. A lot of it is circumstance driven, because different levels of circumstance will have different levels of press or information that needs to be put out there. Sometimes we may have something that, in an ideal world, we would like to just put out there, but it may create dangers for other students or the school environment. So sometimes what we would do is put a plan in place and deal with the situation prior to doing any kind of press release, because a press release will be more harmful than moving forward tactfully and making sure everything is done. So I mean, it really is circumstance driven, but information that needs to get out and that should get out, there is, we have our press channels to push things out, and we make sure that that's there. We understand that is a need for the public to know certain things, and time is of the essence with a lot of it. So we're pretty in tune with that, and a lot of times we don't want to slow roll on stuff, because if you slow roll, we rather certain things come through us than come from through a rumor, because then things, it creates even like a worse situation a lot of times. So yeah, that's
so speaking of rumors, was there an issue with the last week, I guess, with a New Brunswick high school threat somehow getting misinterpreted or purposely misinterpreted as to being a Franklin High School threat, and a lot of parents showing up at the school?
That's the power of social media. It's you take an event that happens somewhere, and it's a screenshot that goes out and it gets sent, and for some reason the level of concern continues to build as things are circulating through. I mean, the original incident that came out really had no connection to Franklin other than students sharing, hey, have you seen this? And parents kind of seeing it and developing a level of concern, and rightly so, considering there were other things going on in the media which helped heighten concern all over. So you kind of pull all of that together and you get it. But that's where the information, the better we could flow information out there, and parents understand and believe that we're giving them the right information, is where it needs to be kind of be in sync. If parents know if there's a concern, we're going to put it out there and let you know, because we don't want a problem.
So was there an issue with parents showing up at the high school that day? A lot of parents?
I don't know. Or you want to talk about that? What?
Sure.
Yeah.
I think there was just concern that some parents I think they just wanted to reassure themselves that their children were safe. The threat was not about Franklin High School, but in those kinds of situations, we wanted parents to know what was going on, because the information was circulating. Even though, it wasn't Franklin High School, it was close. And, our parents, and the high school is one of our neighbors, and very close neighbor. And, that impacts how, what people, the anxiety level that they may be experiencing. But as a district, we worked very quickly with the Franklin Township Police. With the Franklin Township Police, put together something to go out to the public, so our students and our families could know as quickly as we know what the facts were, giving them good information. And I want to just say that is crucial too, because I think our community is at a state where they trust that the information that we're going to send them, that we're not going to just bombard them with lots of information about frivolous stuff. If we send them if we send them a text, if we send them alert, that they know that it is something that warrants their attention, but they can trust that the information that we're sending them is also true.
I'd like to jump back just for a minute. The incidents that sparked this news hour were the issues of two threats that were issued against our schools, both of them deemed not credible, and yet a 13-year-old was charged. What actually constitutes what a credible threat is? And in this instance, why was that 13-year-old charged when the incidents had both been deemed not credible?
Well, I don't want to talk about
again, that's probably students. Captain Heben's province, but
I don't want to. So, so I'm not going to talk about individual students. But what I can say is that it's almost the same thing sometimes. Like you might have a student who pulls a fire alarm, right? Mm-hmm. There's no fire, but he pulls the fire alarm as a prank. That's classified as a false public alarm, and it is something that a person can be charged with, because it creates that alarm in the public that there is danger when there is none.
Yeah. I mean, when you think of the incident that occurred in New Brunswick, it impacted New Brunswick schools. It also went on to impact other schools in the surrounding area. In that particular instance, was there a credible threat identified? But, it impacted school districts throughout the area, so that's where, that public alarm comes into play. You have parents that took off of work, lost wages out of concern for their students in whatever district that student was in. So, I mean, a prank that takes on a life of its own like that creates, problems in people's homes, is something that has to be, addressed. You can't, that can't be fun and games when it's impacting someone's life. Someone could have gotten hurt, not from the threat in school, but, a parent goes into panic thinking something's wrong with their kid and they fly there and they have an accident. Or kids, see something and think something's about to happen in the school and they run stampeding out and trample each other. Those things, something like recently happened at a concert where everyone was rushing, and those things are things that, little silly things like that could mushroom into things that become the big major life-threatening case that's even bigger than the actual threat itself. Right. So, in cases like this, we have to look at it and see where the problem is stemming from and what's the proper way to address it, because we don't want those problems to continue to occur. So at that point, you take that, whatever information you get, and a lot of that stuff again comes up to what does the prosecutors in our county feel this rises to the level of.
Mm-hmm. So there were two of these non-credible threats in the same, like within a few days of each other, right? And you made an arrest in one of them?
Yes.
So what's the status of the other one?
I believe I said I don't want to get into the details because these are still ongoing, but I do believe that these threats are kind of all stemming from similar incidents. It's just a continued effort that's happening. What tends to happen a lot of times is when these things start to roll forward in our social media environment, similar to what happened in New Brunswick. Things will come our certain threats or pranks or whatever will get out there, and then they start circulating from person to person, schools to school. So the same threat that happened here could be happening in another school, a week from now, and they think it's happening in their school, and it becomes that type of thing. So, I said the particular incidents that happened here are still under investigation. So I don't want to kind of go too deep into these specific incidents, but it's those type of things that are going to continue to create these little issues if we don't nip them in the bud and get a handle on what our young folks are doing out there and let them see the seriousness of it.
Again, maybe I didn't hear you say it, but what exactly constitutes what is a credible threat? Is it the threat itself or the perpetrator of the threat that is deemed credible or not credible?
It could be all of that or any of that. What happens is when this information comes out, the police department then goes on an investigation, and our officers and detectives will go out there and see, how much substance is in this, and that the end of that investigation will reveal that something is either credible or it's unknown, or it's or it's not a credible threat at all. And if we could go back and identify something, we say, we know exactly who it was. We look into it, and we know that it was just a silly prank between friends that got out of hand. We look at that and we say, all right, we solved that one. We know what it is, but this is what we dealt with, and let's see how how it's going to be handled through any legal channels or in a school channel. If we don't know, then we have to then we continue going. I mean, and then you got to remember, in law enforcement and in Franklin Township Police Department, we're not just working within the walls of Franklin Township. We share this information with state agencies, other bigger entities that are also monitoring these things. So, we could see patterns and we could see things out there that are going to be a concern to let us know, well, you know what, this could be something more than just a silly prank. And that, in those cases, we have to really continue the efforts. And then, sometimes we'll say, look, this could be something real. And if it ever gets to that point, then we take necessary measures.
Right. And I just wanted to just add to that, then, because we take every threat very seriously, whether it's someone who wrote on the bathroom wall bomb or something. We take all of that very serious. and we do a thorough investigation that includes and involves our Franklin Township Police, and it includes things like if you identify who made the threat, for example, or the efforts to identify who made the threat, and then once that person is identified, what kinds of things are they capable of? What do they have bomb making materials in their basement? All of those kinds of things weigh in. Is this a person who has an IEP and is known for blurting out things that are not credible? We're looking at all of those kinds of things. We're doing assessment on that student, on that student or that individual, just to make sure that we're making a good decision.
And just for those who don't know, Orville, the IEP, when you reference an IEP, that's a special ed student?
Correct.
Generally? Okay. Okay.
So, any last minute wrap-ups? In summation to our guests tonight, Nancy LaCourte, Board of Ed President, Captain Sean Heben, Franklin Township Police Department, and Orville Wilson, who is the chief everything in Franklin High School.
Well, I want to thank you all for agreeing to come on tonight. It was very interesting, as I had promised and suspected, a really interesting conversation, very important conversation. We had a lot of people watching tonight, and I know there's going to be a lot of people watching in the next couple of days as this spreads around, as always happens with these things. I'm sure people are out Christmas shopping tonight or something. But anyway, this is information that folks needed to know. I think it was very reassuring to Franklin parents to know that you folks are on top of things and doing what you can to prevent any kind of the horror that we've seen elsewhere in the country. I keep bringing this up because it was so striking to me, but I happened to be in Florida 3 years ago, about 3 days after the Parkland, the Marjorie Stone Douglas shootings, and as it turned out, my hotel was just a couple of miles away from the high school itself. So I went and I interviewed people, and I did some live streams from Florida, and it's not a situation I want to replicate here. That's all I can say. So anyway, thank you folks for coming on. We really appreciate it. We're going to have all of you on again many times, I'm sure, in the time to come. So thanks all.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Have a great holiday.
Have a
You
good
You
one.
too.
Thank you.
Alrighty.
All right.
Before we conclude, we also want to remind you that tonight's community involvement and highly informative session of our news hour has been brought to you by Venus Jewelers in the Stop and Shop, Rutgers Plaza, right off Eastern Avenue. And I think they're closed now because it is after 8 p.m., but they will open again tomorrow at 10 a.m., will remain open until 8 p.m., and on Friday, Christmas Eve, from 10 until 5, again, for so many lovely potential gifts that you may not even have thought were the right gift. That's the place to go browse. That's the place to make someone's eyes just jump open and sparkle on Christmas Day. Always free gift wrap, and always with tremendous customer service with a smile and a knowledgeable, educated staff to help you with your gifting requirements. Their phone number is 732-247-4454. And again, right on the Stop and Shop Plaza in Rutgers Plaza, right off Eastern Avenue. It's venusjewelers.com, 5th generation and a destination jeweler.
And the News Hour was also brought to you by Nick and Robin White DeMeglio of the DeMeglio Home Team at Berkshire Hathaway Fox and Roach Realtors. The realtors with a heart. They treat every client like their only client and offer residential and commercial real estate services. You can reach Nick at 732-828-9403 or nicholas.com at att.net. That's Nicolas, just like the saint.com. att.net. So we want to thank both of those sponsors for helping us bring this show to you. Speaking of sponsors.
And to extend that opportunity, we do these news hours as the need requires or as the subject matter comes up. So on 2 levels, if there's something that you would like to see us explore and invite people to explore it on an expert level or a community level, please let us know. You can reach Bill at editor@franklinreporter.com, or you can reach me at ads@franklinreporter.com with your ideas as to who might be the best people to explore the subject that you are finding interesting and what would be informative for your community. And in addition to that, if you as a small business would like to, or a large business, would like to piggyback on this information that does reach the Franklin Township community, and you'd like to sponsor these events, please also reach out to either of us, and we can get you on board with whatever information you'd like to convey. So we're out there, Franklin. We are your Franklin independent news source with our Franklin Reporter and Advocate 24/7 website for up-to-date happenings in Franklin Township, followed by our daily news blog, which is called The Morning Report, which you can subscribe to if you go to the front page of the Franklin Reporter and Advocate, franklinreporter.com. Oh, PJ, you're talking way too much. But you do need to know.
I'll pick it up. In addition to the website and the Morning Report, we have the monthly printed newspaper, the Monthly Digest, which is delivered to thousands of people every day. Jeez, I wish.
Every month.
I wish it was every day. Every month, and it contains the highlights and the bigger stories of the previous month and a little bit of the title month. And again, there's the news hour, and there also are live streams, which get thousands and thousands of views whenever we do them. We're going to be doing one. It's going to be live on tape. We're going to be going tomorrow and looking at the more colorful Christmas displays that folks have put up on their lawns and on their houses, as we have done. We didn't do last year because of COVID, but we have done it in years past, and it's always been very popular.
And we have invited you, Franklin,
yes,
to let us know if there's a particular block or avenue or segment in Franklin Township. There are 8 villages in Franklin. It's not just Somerset. And we've gotten a couple of people to mention places in Kingston and a little further outside of what we consider to be the heart of Franklin Township, the municipal seat, which is Somerset. But there are so many beautiful opportunities, so many heartwarming, colorful displays that just make your heart sing. So we hope to be capturing a lot of them tomorrow night. I know I've been exploring some of the neighborhoods that we haven't been in before, just to see if we can condense the route. And so we'll be doing this tomorrow night. So do look for this, the Holiday Lights Tour from the Franklin Reporter and Advocate. And that will be tomorrow after dark.
After dark, and we'll be doing it live on tape. So we'll be publishing the posting, I guess, the final version of whatever we do on our Facebook page and also our YouTube channel. So look for that. Help support this, to help us keep going out on the streets and doing this thing and bringing you the most complete coverage of Franklin Township that you're going to get in any media that purports to cover Franklin Township, whether it's free or whether it requires some sort of subscription like we do. We need you to subscribe. $37 a year. It's really not. It's the best deal going for what we offer you.
10 cents a day.
10 cents a day, and we give you everything you need to know about what's going on in town, and we do mean everything. And I can't tell you how many times over the past 8 years that we've been around that we have heard individually and collectively. You guys are everywhere. I think I'm going to put that on a T-shirt. We are everywhere. We are our gravestone, whichever comes first.
We were everywhere.
Yeah, they were everywhere. But we are everywhere. And this is what we do. We live in town. We've lived in town for a long time. We love this town. We're not native-born Franklinites, but we've been here a very long time. So we've been here longer than some of the native-born people who've been alive.
We've immersed. And if I can piggyback on that, when we started this, Franklin Township had not the best reputation in several areas. And from day one, our mission was going to be, yes, we will report the news, whether it is not great, whether it's ugly, but it will be the truth and it will be what's going on. But the main mission is to touch the rest of the story, the excellence, the honor of this community, the students, the excellence of our citizenry, from all aspects of life in Franklin Township. So that's been our mission. We're thrilled to be able to do that. On that note, if there's something that you would like us to know about one of our fellow citizens within the community on any level, and it will make us proud of Franklin, please let us know.
Let us know. We offer everything, but we need you guys to support. We need you to subscribe. If you have a business or an organization, we would really love you to advertise with us. We have a lot of different opportunities. I like to say we're on land, sea, and air. We have print, we have broadcast, and we have online digital. So I'm going to put that email up again. Give PJ an email and ask her about what we can do to work together to not only bring your business or your organization in front of Franklin Township and the world, really, when you think about it, on the World Wide Web, but also for you to help support independent journalism in Franklin Township, which is basically what we are, independent. We are answerable to the folks who read us, and that's it. We don't have any corporate people hovering over us. We don't have any out-of-state overlords, as some other folks do. We are here. We make our money in Franklin. We spend our money in Franklin, and we're of the community. So please keep that in mind. The website, franklinreporter.com. We can also be found on Twitter at Franklin Editor. We're also, of course, on Facebook, which is where you're probably watching us now. And we're on the Insta. I know.
Now, do you also want to tell the rest of the story?
I feel hip saying that. Oh, yeah. We're also, I don't have a little thingy made up for you yet, but we're also on the TikTok, as I like to call it. I'm on the TikTok.
He's a TikTok.
I've got like 5 followers now, and I think 3 of them are friends. And I mean, I've done some fun things. I went on the zip line on the trail in Middlebush Park. I don't know what color trail is, the brown trail. I don't know, whatever. They keep color coding these things. Whatever trail that is by the parking lot there. There's a little zip line.
We should do a live stream from that.
Oh, I did a TikTok. And I got on it, and I almost dropped my phone, but I zipped down the thing. I don't know, maybe it's 40 or 50
As you said,
feet.
you have 5 subscribers.
Yeah,
we have the potential to let them see Bill ziplining on TikTok.
I did a couple weather updates early on. I think I was at Stop and Shop one night when it was teeming out, and I said something like, "Don't get caught in the rain" or something.
Well, tell us, Franklin, do you want to see the Franklin Reporter and Advocate on TikTok? Is that where you would also like your news from the Franklin Reporter and Advocate?
Yeah, you'd be surprised because the Washington.
I am surprised.
The
That's
Washington
why I'm
Post
asking.
has a dedicated TikTok guy, and this man goes nuts. He dresses up in banana costumes, and and I've seen CBS news outlets do it. I have seen, because I'm up crazy hours, I have seen live broadcasts of demonstrations from around the world, anti-mask demonstrations from around I forget the cities now, but from around the world. I've seen live broadcasts from NASA on TikTok. There is a study that showed that 52% of people between 18 and 29, I think, get their news from TikTok. So we have to present the news where the people are, right? TikTok actually is where the kids went when the older folks took over Facebook. And now it's funny because the older folks are taking over TikTok. Now the kids will probably jump somewhere else. But anyway,
it'd be interesting to see how many responses we get to that.
If you want,
after the program.
Look up Franklin Reporter on TikTok. Give us a follow. Push that little plus button. Give us a follow. Follow us on YouTube. We really haven't been pushing that, but we do have a channel. We have a lot of videos from the years on YouTube, and we really need to be making more effort there. Subscribe to YouTube. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. and just, keep watching, keep reading. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Franklin.
We have some new things that we know are going to be relevant after the holiday.
Yeah.
Again, not to end on a realistic note, but be careful out there, Franklin. The COVID rates are rising horrifically. It's mostly the Omicron virus, which is being reported to be less hazardous.
Well,
nonetheless, the infection rate is exponentially increasing. And after this holiday weekend, there's endless travel that is going on, endless family gatherings that are going on. And we have a feeling that we will be discussing all of the above in a news hour shortly after the holidays.
We'll have Dr. Halkitis back on.
Right, and probably Mayor Dr. Kramer.
Dr. Kramer. The whole thing about the Omicron variant being less lethal than
lethal was
COVID.
The word. Right.
That's true. However, as I saw somebody point out tonight, it's still putting people in hospital beds. And what that means is, and I think they said that there are like maybe 16,000 ICU beds left in the country. What that means is if you have a stroke, if you have a heart attack or some catastrophic event, a car accident or something like that,
you're down on the ladder.
You're in trouble because they may not be able to take you at your local hospital. So even though the Omicron may not kill you, it may be the domino effect may lead to somebody else's death. So
exactly.
You need to do this responsible thing, and this is probably gonna get me in trouble.
Yeah, I don't have to go there.
No, I'm gonna go there.
Okay, then go there.
Because that's what I do.
You go there.
You need to get vaccinated unless you've got some sort of medical. If you have an allergy to what's in the vaccine, you need to get vaccinated. It's what you do for society. Not only just for yourself, but for your family, for your community at large. The only way this thing is going to go away, the only thing we're going to get back to 100% normal is if we get at least some sort of a herd immunity going. And the only way that's going to happen is if we get at least 75% of the country vaccinated. And we're only around the 60s right now. So, boosted, get vaccinated. Then worry about getting boosted later. But just get vaccinated. The news came out about the pill.
Yes.
Wonderful. But that means you've already gotten sick. That means you're
89% effective.
Right. It's only 89% effective, and that means you're still in a hospital bed. That means somebody who I'm going to say it really needs it, who is suffering an ailment that wasn't totally avoidable by getting a stupid little shot. I just got boosted on Sunday. Is not going to maybe not be able to get that bed. So anyway, I'm off my pulpit. Hey, Franklin, have a great couple days. We're going to see you again tomorrow night when we're going to be doing a much more cheerful topic.
Well, I think overall tonight was hopeful, and cheerful and informative, and you got an idea from the people who make it happen in our school systems that safety is always a priority in Franklin Township.
Absolutely. All right, Franklin, until we meet again, as usual, stay safe. Say that thing you say.
This is PJ Parker from the Franklin Reporter and Advocate, and we'll be back.
We shall.